no. It's so annoying. This is so annoying. Yeah. Fucking. All this work for what? This is so annoying. You try something and it just doesn't go to plan. That's fine. Yeah, I gotta do something real quick. Yeah. Yeah, I gotta fix this up. So people can find it, so people know what I'm doing, so things can go to plan. Absolutely fun. It's fine, I can't see anything. Do not fall asleep, please. I see you. I have to do everything I get. That's pretty much it. Clockwork. Yeah. Stupid. uh. Here. I've been working on stuff. I had to read it the whole thing and it was funny. It's really funny. Good? Here? Yeah, we're good. Okay. It's just, it's just weird. I don't know. Like, I set it up on YouTube and I guess it didn't connect to that. I don't know what that was. It just happens to not work. But that's fine. That's fine. That's absolutely okay. I do not care that much. Yeah. We could possibly get through 6 chapters today and finish part 2. But I don't know if we will. It just depends on how I feel, how far we get. And yeah. We won't have to worry about many interruptions. Hopefully. I have to be careful not to spoil anything. Nobody can read it. Nobody's freezing. Nobody's freezing. Nobody freeze. No, I went too far. Oh, no, I didn't mean to go too far. Nobody saw that. It's fine. Nobody saw that. Oh my gosh, you went too far. No, don't freeze there. No. We went too far. Alright. Slow down. It's alright. It's alright. We're fine. We're fine. Nobody panic. Run. Yeah, I'm just running. Okay. Nobody saw that. To be fair, people could probably figure out a way to slow it down. Spoil. But why would you do that? Why would you do that? That wouldn't make any sense. It's fine. It's fine. It's fine. Let's get to it. Chapter 13. 10 a.m. in the morning. Not really 8 a.m. in the morning. It's just, I had it at 10 a.m. because I didn't know how long it would take. So, yeah. I knew I wanted to stream early. So I was like, oh, let's just 10 a.m. for now. Temporary. Not with not much attention. Let's stream that. Yeah. Fortunately, people lost that. Alright, chapter 13. Perspective of Scar, as well, you can tell in the title of the video. Obviously. About a month passed since the last attack, where Gerald had tried to going after Grian, only for the hermits to intervene. Scar was busy sorting through some random stuff, looking for any spare redstone components to help with whatever project Impulse was up to now. They hadn't gone back to their bases just yet, for their own safety. During that time, Impulse had been working on improving its security, but was running low on supplies and wanted to see what was available here before asking the other hermits for help. Scar was more than willing to pitch in. There wasn't much more to be done, seeing as none of them could safely work on building projects with the potential of an attack. Just because they hadn't heard anything didn't mean that Mr. A wasn't up to something, or that Gerald was around just waiting to get back at him. Scar pushed his thought aside, shaking his head. He got to his feet, picking up the sugar box he'd brought with him. It wasn't necessarily full to the brim, but it wasn't empty either. He carried it out to the storage room, walking down the hall, listening to the silence. Caleb wasn't too far away, just a few doors down, nodding when he saw him. The boy had stayed close throughout the entirety of the month to ensure safety. Still, he had given Scar a little space to let him do what he needed to do. Scar heard a soft meow as something soft and furry brushed past his ankles. He looked down and smiled, seeing his jelly strolling down quite purposely past him. Scar wished her a good afternoon before seeing her vanish into one of the open doors to one of the bedrooms. Do you need help with that? Caleb offered, pushing back from the closed door he built near the stairs just as a door opened. Scar? A familiar voice asked. The hermit looked over his shoulder at the sound of his name. Oh, hello, Grian. Scar said brightly as he smiled. What's going on? Nothing, really, the hermit replied quickly, fidgeting with the door as it creaked. You seem busy. I'll find you later. I'm just dropping this off downstairs for Impulse, Scar stated matter-of-factly. He's trying to finish up the security in the secret bunker. Is it close? Grian asked, stepping out into the hall. Yeah, pretty sure what I have in here will be enough, Scar shrugged, raising an eyebrow, adding, Do you want to come with us? Sure, Grian nodded. He crossed the hall to meet up with them. Kaden only let me stay up here because you and Caleb were here. Scar nodded, making it to the stairs to begin his descent. The hallway below looked fairly empty. The secret entrance under the stairs now sealed shut. It had been fixed after the last time, having been broken when Grian had been ambushed inside the room by Gerald. How the man had gotten in there was still a mystery, though Impulse had theorized there was probably a secret door in the chamber area under the secret room. Or he had found the secret bunker. Whichever it was, there was a tunnel somewhere that led to this room, which was a safety hazard. Grian activated the hidden control panel as the door opened, the three of them walking inside. Scar noticed Caleb scanning the room warily. Blake should be down there with Impulse, Scar pointed out. You can keep guard up here. We'll give you a holler if we need you. All right, the boy nodded, as Grian cut in front of the hermit, opening the other secret entrance as the setup upstairs appeared. Chapter 14. Some of these are pretty short. So, yeah, that's best. I'm not doing the next part if this part is short. I'm sorry. That's not gonna happen. I mean, I could, but I don't know how I would put that in the thumbnail. So, probably not. It looks kind of spooky down here, Grian noted, taking a step into on one of the stairs. It creaked quietly under his weight. I suppose you're right, Scar replied, looking down at the torchlit staircase as he walked down. We should be fine, though. Yeah. Green giggled nervously, taking the lead down. They were out to them. It's just me and G, Scar called back. I come bearing gifts. Scar walked into the room, catching a smile on Impulse's face as he stepped out of a hole in the wall. Out of a hole in the wall. How much is there? Impulse asked as Scar put the box down, letting his friend rummage through it. Yeah, this should do it. Thanks, Scar. Anything for a friend, Scar stated happily. Nothing, Blake casually, sitting on one of the many beds in the room. The room wasn't by any means small. You didn't find any secret tunnels in here? No, I checked the entire perimeter of this thing, mainly for the system, and didn't find any, Impulse pointed out, shaking his head. Tempted to break part of the floor to see if there's anything. Could be something in the ceiling, too, Green pointed out, looking up. Scar followed his gaze, seeing the plain ceiling above. Looks like a normal ceiling to me, Scar frowned, looking back towards Impulse. I can check the place and the other one again. Oh, right. Impulse said before pausing. You can help me out if you're not busy. Green wanted to help me with something, Scar pointed out, looking over at Green. I needed to test something with you, Green admitted with a shrug. We can do that later. It's more important that this place is secure, especially if Gerald decides to go after you. Wouldn't you have done that by now? Scar asked with uncertainty, grabbing his axe as he went to a corner of the room to open the floor. He could still be recovering from that burn, Blake pointed out. His immune system works a lot slower than yours, and he might want to wait until he can use his arm again so he's stronger. You can always have someone else do the dirty work, Impulse reminded him. It's not like these guys haven't done that before, watching someone else tortures their victim. Scar bit his bottom lip, seeing the sour look on Impulse's face as he said it. Green also shook his head, walking over to another corner, breaking through the floor before putting it back. It might be better just to listen to see if anything sounds off, Scar, Green suggested, as Scar replaced the floor, torn out, finding nothing. Would we hear a difference, you think? Scar asked. I think so. If we can hear emptiness through a wall, why not the floor? Green asked. To be fair, I didn't even notice there was something under my kitchen until it broke from under me. Impulse shrugged, disappearing into the hole again, with a few redstone components in his hand. That's true, Green admitted, walking around the room, stomping firmly with each step. Scar watched for a moment before doing the same. After 10 minutes later, they cut their losses, having found nothing. Do you think it might be up in the ceiling? Scar offered, seeing the disappointed look on his friend's face. Or there isn't anything here, Green pointed out, hesitating as he added. Makes more sense that there's a tunnel in the other room. Scar caught the shutter as Green turned away, not meeting his eye. You don't have to go down there, Scar reassured him gently. I know, but doing nothing is still there. They can use it at any time. We'd be able to know if they did, Blake reassured him when he trailed off, getting to his feet. I got an alarm set up down there. If someone goes down there and sets something off, we'll know. Okay, Green said slowly, not sounding all that convinced. I'd rather it be blown up to pieces. I don't disagree, Blake smiled. It's good to know where they might be coming from, though, so we know how to best protect you and your friends. I guess that's fair. Green's shoulders slumped, looking up at the ceiling though. Do we have any idea whether or not any of the guys know this exists? The traitor who knows is still in prison and hasn't had any known visitors, Blake said critically. I can't guarantee anything. I appreciate the honesty. Green sighed, managing a smile. What about RJ? Any updates on him? Scar asked curiously, pulling out his bow as he looked it over, admiring the shiny purple glow it emitted. Rose chatted with him yesterday, Blake noted, pausing for a moment. Doesn't seem like Mr. A knows where he is, or that he has an elaborate plan for escape. For now, Green admitted, pulling out his communicator as he looked it over. That can happen in a few hours. Definitely, Impulse agreed, appearing from the hole again as Scar jumped. From what I can tell, there isn't much to worry about. What about that assignment Gerald has? Scar suggested, swallowing as he glanced toward the stairs. Jem and Pearl were at Pearl's base, spending time together, making sure Pearl secured the other base was okay. Maybe even setting up some more traps for Mr. A's men if they chose to show themselves. He knew Gerald had threatened Jem with her friends, as Mr. A did want to find them for some reason. As he knew, not much had changed, and that was fine. I honestly don't know what that reason is yet. I haven't gotten that far into, all that deep lore. I still haven't, pieced together who are actually a part of that group. I have a basic idea, but, I don't have a solid story with that one. So, I don't have anything. I'm sorry. Not yet, anyway. It's still in the back of my mind. I don't know. We don't know much, if at all, Impulse sighed. No one's talking, obviously. Hopefully it stays that way for a while, Green replied. I'm quite enjoying this time to relax. Well, relax the best I can, you know? Scar met eyes with Green as the hermit looked at him, as a shiver ran down Scar's spine. He smiled at his friend, trying to reassure him. I'll be fine, gee. I've rarely ever been alone long enough for anyone to come after me. It only takes a minute, Green said quietly, looking down at his feet. Hey, Scar said gently, crossing the room to stand next to him. Nothing's happened yet, nor will it. It's a lot harder to get to me or anyone here at this moment, thanks to our efforts. That's why we've been doing this. It's important. Yeah, Green nodded, still not looking at him. We don't know what they're doing, or how they'll attack. We can plan all we want, but it might mean nothing. You don't know that, Scar pointed out, putting a hand on his shoulder. You're right, I don't. Green shook his head, finally looking up at his friend. That's what scares me, not knowing. No matter what happens, we've got each other's backs, Impulse replied, crossing the room as well. We might not be prepared for everything, but no matter what, we'll do what it takes to protect each other. It's also the job of the cause to protect you as well, Blake reminded the hermit. You're in safe hands. Green bit his bottom lips. Green bit his bottom lip and nodded, looking over at the escort. Thanks, Blake. The boy smiled as Scar let his friend go, seeing him walk toward the stairs. Where are you going? Scar asked curiously. We're going back upstairs to test something, Green said matter-of-factly. I think we can give those guys quite the surprise if they try coming. Scar grinned as they ran across the room toward him. They didn't say anything as they went up the stairs together, Impulse wishing them well downstairs. Scar Green was a few steps ahead, with a new skip in his step. Scar smiled, glad to see his friend was feeling a little better. Hopefully, whatever the hermit planned to do would give him the confidence to push forward in the fight for their lives against Mr. A, Gerald, and the lackeys. I like saying that. Lackeys. Chapter 15. Scar woke up a few days later, hearing scratching on the door. Opening his eyes, he realized Jelly was no longer curled up by his side, now sitting at the door, staring up at him. You know what I've told you about scratching the door, Scar mused as he pushed back the covers, climbing out of his bed, hearing Jelly meow. I'm sure you're hungry, yes. Jelly meowed again, bawling at the door. Scar opened it, seeing her trot out of the room and into the hallway, following her toward the stairs. He could see Caleb from the corner of his eye as the boy watched him curiously before following. There's a lot of following. Scar followed the feline down the stairs as she approached her food bowl, which had a little bit of leftover from last meal. I can get you a little more than that, Scar chuckled as he crossed the room, looking into the chest as he took what was left and put it in. We might need to go on a fishing trip, Scar pointed out to Caleb. Jelly's low on snacks. I can get the other guys to let them know, Caleb replied. Shouldn't take long. Yeah, we can also make sure no one follows us, Scar replied. They're surely watching this place like hawks. Caleb nodded, leaving the hermit as he went into another room. Scar heard voices a second or two later. Caleb probably had used a communicator as a precaution, as Scar put the leftovers into the bowl, as Jelly sniffed it. I'll get you more, don't you worry, Scar said gently, crouching next to her as he began to eat. As she smiled, watching her before getting to his feet. Caleb walked a lot of walking too. Walked through the door a moment later, pocketing his device. They're coming around to the front. And pulled through. Excuse me, Caleb reported. So they did say one of them could do the fishing for you. I know, but it's good to have some sense of normalcy, Scar shrugged. I don't want to be kept here all the time, like we're in prison. You're not, Caleb said quickly. Scar smirked. I know, but it certainly feels like it when we can't leave without the risk of an attack. Caleb nodded his head slowly. Yeah, I can see that. I guess we could lessen it now that it's been about a month. Of course, Scar said brightly as he went over to the front door. I'm not saying you can't have my back anywhere. I appreciate the company, and I know that I'll be okay. And knowing that I'll be okay if someone does make their move. Smelled. Definitely. Scar opened the door, spotting the other two waiting not too far from the door. This really doesn't seem so important to not have someone else do it, one of them pointed out, almost as soon as the hermit zipped out of the door. Yes, but the hermits are also eager to do something, Caleb pointed out. We've been careful before not going to the same lake or river twice, so that they can't figure out where we're going. But it'd be safer if you stayed here, the other one interjected. Just as safe out here with you guys now as I was back there, Scar said confidently. There's no difference. Except there's strong security inside to keep you safe, the first one countered. And you can't do the same? Scar raised an eyebrow. The man hesitated for a moment before shaking his head. Let's just get this over with. Scar chuckled as he donned his elytra, taking out his rockets. The group did the same as he launched himself into the sky, hearing the others just behind him. Just behind him. Actually, the right word here. Not them. Yep. I know of a small lake over this way we haven't been, one of the men stated, pointing to the east. Let's go there then, Sky said brightly, as he adjusted his gliding accordingly. Following the man's lead, he glanced down at the ground below, wondering if there was anyone following them. Didn't look like it, as he adjusted his. A few minutes of flying later, he saw a clearing, with a small lake surrounded by trees. The water was deep blue, bubbling with fish as they swam just below the surface. Scar pulled something out of his pocket. A water-breathing potion, and he consumed it. Just keep watch around the perimeter. It'll only take about 5 minutes to get enough, Scar assured them. Don't go too deep, or forget to come back out once the potion wears off, Caleb warned. I'll be fine, Scar said smoothly, diving toward the water, the wind rushing past him. Whistling as he sliced through the warm water, fish scattering away as he disturbed them. He quietly apologized to the fish as he pulled out his sword, swimming forward as he speared the fish after fish, hoping he'd get enough to at least for a little while. A stack or two probably would suffice, but it depends on how many fish were in here. He dove deeper into the water, swimming closer to the heart of the lake, looking around for any fish. At least 3 minutes had gone by, and it seemed like all the fish had disappeared. Suddenly, he caught a glint of bubbles in the dim fresh water, and he looked down, spotting some magma below. A ravine! He swam a little closer, cautioned not to get too close to the bubbles, as an object got sucked down below. Never seeing fish floating at the bottom. Now items. That's unfortunate, he said to himself, as he swam closer, managing to swipe a few of them from the magma floor below before pulling back. He looked back up at the surface, figuring he'd gotten enough. He began to swim toward the surface of the water just as the trident whizzed past his head. He yelped in surprise as he looked back, seeing nothing in the darkness as he squinted, expecting to see it drowned as he pulled out his sword again. Sure enough, as another trident sliced past him through the water, a drowned appeared, gurgling at him. Scar pushed himself upward, hoping to get closer to the surface as the zombie variant followed. Once he was a good distance, he dove down, slicing through the creature before it could shoot at him again. He heard a girl scream of pain as the drone disappeared with a puff of smoke. "Oh, he didn't drop the trident." Scar sighed, only minorly disappointed, swimming up to the surface as the water splashed from his face. He looked up to see his group of escorts waiting for him at the shore. As he waved at them, Caleb cupped his hands around his mouth as he called Scar to come back. "I'm coming," Scar returned. So he drew closer, climbing out of the water, soaking wet, as he smiled. "Did you get what you needed?" Wildebecca asked. "Yep. More than enough for a good while," Scar said confidently. "We should do stuff like this more often. It'd be fun." "We'll see." Caleb giggled, pulling out his rockets. "We should get back before the others start to worry. It's fairly early in the morning. It should be fine." Scar shrugged, grabbing for his own, just as he heard the sound of fireworks. Looking up just in time to see someone barreling towards him. He yelled as he went to get out of the way, Caleb attempting to step in to deflect the attack, but the flyer was too quick and Scar felt himself being lifted off his feet before he had a chance to respond. "Scar!" Caleb cried, Scar looking down to notice there were already about a dozen feet in the air. Caleb and the other two men shot after him. Scar struggled to free himself, finding his arms were pinned to his side with another arm belonging to its captor. He looked back. He couldn't see the man's face, but he didn't need to, as he recognized that he was one of Mr. A's men. "Could you let me go?" Scar asked politely. "I need to get back home and give my cat some food. She's hungry." The man didn't respond as he put away his rockets, grabbing a communicator from his hand. "I have a few pursuers. Can I get some backup?" Scar swallowed, looking down as he saw one of the two men was getting close to them, as he saw more figures jump out from the shadows from the trees. "Look out!" Scar warned, not sure if they could hear him as the wind screamed in his ears. "I wouldn't worry about them," the man holding him replied, launching another rocket just as Scar watched. One of the men snatched from the sky as the man and the soldier plummeted toward the water. The two other escorts were intercepted by another two flying soldiers as it began to grow smaller and smaller. "Where are you taking me?" Scar asked loudly, hoping the man would answer his question. This time, he didn't. "You're going to let a poor kitty starve without some food?" The man only snorted as he tightened his grip on the hermit. Scar squirmed, trying to free himself, but the man was far stronger than expected. The hermit had no other choice but to give up trying to escape. For now, once the men landed, of course, it'd be a different story. Chapter 16. Unfortunately, his little of a plan did not go to plan. Scar wasn't sure how long they'd flown but after what he felt, let me try that again. Scar wasn't sure how long they'd flown for, but after what had felt like forever, they'd finally came up to where the man was taking him. The base was shrouded under a mountain canopy, vines hanging off the cliffside, obscuring the base from view. At first, it almost looked completely invisible. "I have to say, you're getting better at hiding these things," Scar remarked, hoping to compliment the man, so that he could talk his way out of whatever was going to happen. What about to happen? The hermit caught a sliver of a smirk, and the man flew down to the ground, which was swarming with at least 2 or 3 dozen men. Maybe 30? Scar wasn't sure, but they landed rather elegantly, one of the men running up to them. Scar gasped as he was knocked to the ground, groaning as he struggled to sit up, only for someone to shove him back down, pulling his arms behind him. "This is only protocol, hermit," the other soldier replied simply. "It's not permanent." "That's going to make me feel better?" Scar asked, turning his head to the captor walking away from them. "Where's he going?" "He's got another assignment. He was only sent to fetch you first," the soldier replied. "I stopped squirming. I really don't want to have to hurt you." "Hurt me? I've done nothing to you," Scar said blandly, as the soldier tightened the rope around his wrist. "Not to me, no," the soldier agreed. "But I'm only following orders. We can't allow you to escape." "But surely it'd be more exciting?" Scar raised an eyebrow. The man didn't look too pleased. Scar glanced around the area, seeing the trees shrouding around the clearing like a shield. As the man pushed him to his forward, Scar had no other choice but to oblige. He learned it was far better to stay on their good graces than to cause trouble. At least for now. So, who has the honor of seeing me today? Gerald, Mr. A, RJ? Scar pressed, hoping maybe he might get the man to talk. We'll see, was all the soldiers said as they neared the base, talking amongst themselves, or perhaps about him, speculating what would have become of him. At least you can tell me where I'll be staying, Sky said, putting up a smile. I don't think your sweet talk will get you out anywhere here, the soldier warned. If you think I'm going to tell you what's going on, you're mistaken. Oh, no, I'm not trying to make you say anything, especially at the risk of betraying your own leader, Sky said eagerly. Why would I do that? No, I just want to have a nice, calm chat, that's all. That's not going to help, the soldier replied, shaking his head. I'm pretty sure you're trying to buy some time for your friends to rescue you. I'm sure they will, Sky said cheerfully. I'm serious, though. What have you been up to lately? The man paused as he arrived at the door. One of the guards opening it for him. Is he bothering you? One of the men grunted, as he was big, looking like he could crush a boulder with bare hands. We're just having a chat, Sky said boldly, lifting his head as he said it. His chin as he said it. He's scared, the soldier holding him said simply. He just doesn't want to admit it. Why would I be scared? Sky said quickly, now seeing the second guard snickering as he said it. I know that no matter what you try to do, you won't get a word out of me. He's quite the talker, the second guard sneered. Come on now. I need to take you somewhere, the first soldier mumbled, shaking his head. You don't need to be so secretive with me, Sky insisted, walking forward as the man led him down toward a set of stairs. All right, then, the soldier replied, reaching the stairs as he pushed the door open. Push the hermit up to the next floor. There's a room down at the end of this hall we prepared just for you. See, it wasn't so hard, Sky said with a laugh. Man shook his head, biting his bottom lip, almost as if he was hiding a smile. Sky didn't notice as he crossed the hallway, reaching the end of the man unlocking the door as they walked in. It doesn't look too comfortable, Scar pointed out, digging in the room. There was a furnace in one side of the room. At the center back wall was a cot, with a few metal straps dangling at the side of it. On the side of it. You'll get used to it, the man retorted, undoing the rope. Now, why don't you lie down for me? Surely you could find something more suitable, Scar offered, turning as the man stood in front of the door. The man warned, narrowing his eyes. This really can't be protocol, Scar said quickly. Surely it'd be better if I don't. I'll take any other call, Sal, just not here. What, you scared? The soldier raised an eyebrow. Me? No, of course not, Scar laughed, trying not to look at the furnace as he said it, keeping his eyes on the man, reaching for his pocket. Why would I be when you never emptied my pockets? He swung out his bow, grabbing an arrow just as the soldier lunged. The hermit yelped in surprise as the bow flew from his hand. The man sat on top of him as he pulled something out of his pocket. I don't want to have to do this, but you leave me no choice, the man scowled, narrowing his eyes as he pulled out a potion, dousing the cloth in his hand. The Scar squirmed, trying to shove the man off him, feeling the fuzzy cloth over his mouth and nose as a weird, strange sensation filled his nostrils. And for a moment, nothing happened. Then he suddenly felt extremely tired. Yawning, his eyes grew heavy. Going to a better room, right? Scar asked sleepily. Sorry, Scar, but that's not my decision to make. His voice sounded faint, distant, as the world faded into black, leaving nothing. He remembered nothing more. 17. Scar groaned, opening his eyes groggily as he looked up at the bright, pale ceiling above him. He blinked a few times, everything slowly starting to come back to him, as he tried to sit up, looking down as he realized his arms and legs were pinned down to a hard cot, two straps of metals covering his midsection. His ankles were also bound by a couple of cuffs at the foot of the cot as he struggled, wincing as the metal burned into his skin. It wasn't hot, but the friction wasn't a pleasant feeling either. Good to see you finally decided to join us, a familiar voice said from his right. Scar's blood ran cold as he heard those words, turning his head to see Gerald standing a few feet away. His right arm was in a sling, still bandaged from the damage he'd caused it. The man wasn't alone either. A couple of soldiers had joined him in this room. They stood straight, tall, waiting for orders. "What brings you here, Gerald?" Scar asked slowly. "You're looking better, at least." "Can the compliment, Scar?" The man frowned, narrowing his eyes. "You know why we're here." "No one," walking across the room to stand next to her cot. "You did this to me." The man pointed at his arm. "I'm not about to let you get away without consequences." "Don't you have a project or an assignment to do?" Scar asked defiantly. "I am doing my assignment." The man narrowed his eye. "It's not important enough for you to know." "It does have something to do with my friends," Scar said matter-of-factly. "They're probably trying to look for me right now." "How will they? When your escort saw you be taken away, we made sure it could have been led to at least 5 other hideouts." "5 other hideouts," he snickered. "It'll take a good while for them to find you. By that time, I'll have achieved what I wanted." "Revenge is never the answer," Scar said calmly, even though he could hear his racing heartbeat in his ears. "I only did what I did to protect my friends. You're only doing that to protect your own dignity." "That's not what you think," the man asked, leaning closer as the hermit heard one of the guards walking across the room. Scar watched Gerald pull out an iron dagger with his left hand. "I've been preparing for this moment for weeks. Finally, you're able to get what you deserve." "By killing me?" Scar raised an eyebrow. "I never said that," the man mused. "Though I wouldn't mind that either. It'd be one less of you to worry about." Scar shook his head slowly as he watched a soldier approach the furnace, putting a stick within it before pulling it out. It was now alive with flame, and the man approached the 2 of them. This is only showing me just how insecure you are," Scar said matter-of-factly. "You don't like getting outsmarted, so you take it out on those you deem worthy to punish." "You burned me. You embarrassed me in front of your friends and the cause," the man snapped angrily. I will glint in the man's eye. "Nice. All I wanted was answers, and you decided to bust in and ruin it." "You already ran. What did you expect?" Scar insisted, seeing the man put the iron dagger inside the flame as the metal glue up bright red. Scar danced, not sure how to get out of this one. I honestly wouldn't expect any less," the man said slowly, moving the blade from the flame. "That's why I'm partly hoping your friends do find you, so I can show them what happens when they get out of line again." Scar bit his bottom lip. "I'm not scared of you. Terrified. I can see it," the man said smugly. "You try so hard to hide it, but you know it's hopeless at this point. Your friends can't protect you forever." Scar gasped, feeling the hot metal prick his skin, not wanting to move, not daring to breathe. He wished his body would stop shaking so much his sweat formed and then evaporated from on his brow. "I think it'd be fitting if I gave you something of mine," the man said darkly. "One YouTuber gave me my scar. Now it's time for me to give someone mine." Scar bit back a scream, fighting back the urge to pull away, even though he desperately wanted to. He didn't want to open his eyes. The heat was overbearing, feeling like fire was spreading across his face, down his neck, his arms, chest, legs, as if everything was on fire. He could feel the tears filling his eyes, his throat dry as the man pulled away the dagger. Scar opened his eyes, seeing the man tilting his head, observing his work. The right side of his face stung, screaming in pain. Scar still staring, not saying a word. "I would have expected more from you," Gerald said calmly, as the salty tears stung in his cheeks. Scar blinked, seeing the man holding the blade up to the hot, scorching flame again. "Maybe some more will get you to squirm a little bit more." "I'm not giving you what you want," Scar said, groaning, feeling a thick wetness sliding down his neck. "Want to know what it was?" Feeling his body shaking. "Giving you the satisfaction of hurting me." The man scowled. "I don't think you have much of a choice. You're already in excruciating pain." "I've been through worse," Scar said defiantly, coughing. All the heat of the room seemed to increase. That's the biggest bluff I've ever heard. The man sneered as he lowered the dagger again. Scar biting back a scream of pain, feeling his arm was on fire. Yet he didn't budge. He didn't plead. He knew it was what the man wanted, even though it hurt him so badly. He couldn't give him the satisfaction of winning. Your kind has a common theme of stubbornness, Gerald mused with a crooked, evil grin. You're barely holding on. I'm willing to give you a reason to be terrified of me. For your friends to be horrified by what I've done, if you ever get out of this alive. Will, Scar said through a heavy breathing, gasping in pain, as the man pulled the dagger down. Further, he choked back another cry of pain. Are you sure about that? The man raised his eyebrow. Scar met the man's eyes, seeing the glint of something behind those eyes. You're still scared. Insecure, Scar said matter-of-factly, coughing again as the soldier adjusted the torch in his hand, smoke wafting over him. You wouldn't talk, Gerald snorted, pulling back the blade once more. I'm not insecure. I know who I am. I know I'm not strong enough on my own, Scar managed, starting to see a dark spot appear in his vision. I don't know what happened to you, but it doesn't give you the excuse to torture other people. Just because you're not willing to admit your pain, admit that you've been hurt wrongly. You don't know what you're talking about. The man spat, tightening his grip on the hilt of a blade. I don't have to. I see it in your eyes. There's nothing that will satisfy the pain, the desire for revenge. Nothing you guys deserve. What? None of you guys deserved what happened to you. Just we didn't deserve what you've done to us. You know nothing, the man hissed, leaning closer to the hermit's face. You think you're so high and mighty, better than everybody else. You think you can stop on others to get what you want, that you can go around and take what isn't yours for yourself. You know better, Hermit. I never said that I was, Scar replied, a new wave of confidence filling him as he stared at the man's face. We've both done things we regretted. Both done things that hurt others. The only difference is how we deal with it. We're nothing alike. The man scowled, leaning back as he played with the blade. I don't know if you think you could talk me down. It's quite pathetic. You burned me, so I burned you. Seems quite fair to me, especially in regards to war. That derives from an unintended pain and anger, Scar pointed out. Yelping as the man sliced the dagger in the air, inches from his face. And I'll make sure it hits next time, the man said, almost smugly. Scar swallowed back a whimper as the burning sensation in his arm and face continued to seep into his skin. Fine, but can you at least give me some sort of relief? No. Gerald shook his head, curtly, getting to his feet as he stashed away the dagger, looking to the soldier. You have 5 minutes to cause as much agony as you wish, but don't kill him. Yes, sir, the soldier nodded, as the second one left the room. Gerald smiled as he looked down at Scar. His rugged scar seemed to glow even in the torchlight. I'll see you tomorrow and see how you're feeling. There's nothing you can do to hurt me, Scar said, lifting his chin in defiance. Gerald tilted his head curiously, overlooking the injuries on Scar's face and arm, before nodding. She'll see. The tears still stung in Scar's eyes as the man walked away. The man walked in such defiance, unshaken by the ordeal, or the fact that he had inflicted such torment on his victim. The soldier next to him cleared his throat. Scar adjusted his attention. I wouldn't struggle if I were you, the soldier warned, holding the torch firmly in hand. You really have to do this? Scar pleaded weakly, as more dark spots appeared in his vision. Gerald's orders, the soldier replied, matter-of-factly. But surely you could... His protest was cut off by a scream, as he felt the heat of the torch over him. As the metal straps began to get warmer and warmer, until they were scorching hot. His vision was now bright red, as he closed his eyes, unable to hold back the agony any longer. His pleas were not heard, as the pain eventually overwhelmed him, his world turning a deep red before fading into darkness. Chapter 18. Scar stared up at the ceiling, trying to ignore the pain he was experiencing. His breathing was still labored. Scar wasn't sure how long it had been since he'd been here. How long had Gerald been gone? When would he come back? Not that it mattered. He wasn't giving him what he wanted. That was for sure. His stomach growled as he turned his head at the sound of footsteps. Not all. Part of him hoped his friends had arrived after all. That he'd get out of here and be with the people he cared about again. Safe. Right now, he couldn't be so sure. Even as he counted 2 pairs, the wait felt like an eternity until he saw a shadow through the window. As the door opened, a soldier walked in, carrying something in his hand, followed by Gerald right behind. I'm sure you're hungry, Gerald said simply. Why would you care? Scar asked, raising an eyebrow. Well, I can't have you starved to death, now can I? Gerald mused. No, I suppose not, Scar sighed, adding a smirk. You want the satisfaction of killing me yourself. Like I said, I don't necessarily want you dead. Gerald shook his head, gesturing to the soldier. Scar could see the man was holding a bowl of suspicious stew. It's not poison, is it? Scar asked nervously. No, it's actually regen, the soldier corrected confidently, to at least relieve some pain. Before you inflict me with more. Yeah, that makes sense. Scar looked back at Gerald. Have you thought about what I told you earlier? Bring it up, and I'll make sure the next batch is poisoned. The man scowled. Scar gulped and nodded as the soldier lifted his head, bringing the bowl to his lips. Scar reluctantly sipped, realizing quickly that it was indeed regen. He felt the pain fade away, trying not to show it. His muscles relaxed. Scar thanked the soldier politely, before looking to Gerald again, expecting something. Definitely quiet all of a sudden, Gerald snickered as he crossed the room. Then the other soldier leaving the room. Nope, planning to escape, if that's what you're thinking, Scar said matter-of-factly. Scar snorted. You can't, even if you tried. I had your pockets emptied and your stuff burned. Burned? Scar's eyebrows raised in surprise. You heard me, Gerald smiled, showing his teeth. You won't find your perched communicator, or that chip I found hidden in one of your shulker boxes. Yeah, I thought you'd find it, Scar said meekly, not meeting Gerald's eyes. But now Jilly has no food. I'm sure your friends have things they can give her. The man brushed him off. But I spent all that time getting it for her, Scar insisted. Gerald shook his head. I don't care about your cat's wants or desires, Hermit. You're here now, and I have a job to finish. What do you want from me? Scar asked, feeling uneasy as the man leaned closer, trying to take over the newly closed scar forming on Hermit's face. Looks like it's coming along well, Gerald noted, as he looked back at the Hermit, meeting his eyes. You didn't answer my question, Scar pointed out. I don't need to, because there's not much more I want, he said calmly. The man pulled something out of his pocket, the iron dagger from before. This time, no, it looked shinier, with a gleam of purple. Did you really think I'd be done here? Scar's eyes widened with fear. Gerald, kneeling next to the Hermit, as someone barged through the door. Sir, we're under attack, the soldier replied. We needed to evacuate. By whom? The man asked slowly. His friends, or at least a couple of them and their protectors, the soldier replied, pointing to the Hermit. Gerald looked up at the soldier, getting to his feet as he turned away from Scar. Why don't we bring them in? What? Scar, the soldier asked simultaneously. I want to see him. Why not? Gerald said, gesturing to Scar. At least they're going to have a little chat with his friends. You know the escorts won't like that, right? Scar pointed out, seeing the man smile. Of course not, but if they ever wanted to get a chance to see you again, then they'll do what they're told. The man told him, glancing over his shoulder at the Hermit. I'll let them know that they can come in peacefully, and tell them the terms, the soldier replied, matter-of-factly. We can have a couple of our men keep an eye on the protectors to make sure they don't cause trouble. Good, because if they do, Gerald said calmly, still holding the enchanted dagger, things will get spicy. If you were my friend, Scar insisted slowly as the soldier walked out of the back into the hall. Who said I'm hurting your friends? Gerald asked calmly. I may not want you dead at this time, but I mean I can't cause a little chaos. Can't make it easy for them, can I? Gerald turned his face to the Hermit, the Scar biting his bottom lip, keeping his eyes away from the man. I guess that's fair enough, This is gonna be fun. Scar wasn't sure he liked how the man said those simple words. What else did he have up his sleeve? What was he telling him? Scar swallowed, unsure if he wanted to know the answer to that. For all he knew, Gerald was setting a trap, and he just so happened to be bait. Chapter 19. Yep. I know. Scar could feel the regeneration from the suspicious stew starting to wear off. Watching Gerald play with the dagger in his hand for a moment, able to twirl it with his fingers without issue, the man caught the hermit watching. He smirked. It's okay if I put this down. It won't hurt you, I promise. Gerald asked. I just need to grab something. I need to let Mr. A know the situation. Can't you tell him after? Scar asked, raising an eyebrow. I don't know if he wants whoever is coming for you, but I'm sure he does. Twinkle shone in the man's eyes. He frowned when the hermit didn't budge. Fine, I'll put it on the floor. The man leaned down to put the dagger safely on the floor before pulling it out. Pulling out the communicator, mind you. Scar couldn't help but smirk as the device connected. Gerald didn't pay much notice, or perhaps he didn't care as the connection came through. Hey, Mr. A, I've got a quick update for you. Less than 2 minutes, Gerald said matter-of-factly. How's the project been going? Mr. A asked, through the device simply. I can't really say out loud, as I've got Scar here with me, the man said simply, eyeing the hermit warily. But all is well. We have a couple of visitors here who want to see your friend. You weren't letting them, are you? Mr. A asked cautiously. I did what I originally intended to do with Scar. I'm sure you want him and the others when they're captured, Cheryl said, holding a finger to Scar as the hermit opened his mouth to speak. Thing is, we've got the protectors to worry about. I'm sure you'll figure it out, Mr. A said calmly. The tone of his voice seemed to imply that he was smiling. If all goes well, I'll happily take all 3 off your hands. Great, Cheryl said delightedly. I'll have to have a chat with you later. I have to say, for someone like Scar, I'm surprised he's not saying much, Mr. A pointed out. That's because Gerald's plan is stupid and he knows it's not going to work. Scar said plainly. Gerald snorted. Speak for yourself. Do you have a spare regen that on you that I can borrow? The effects are starting to wear off, Scar asked hopefully, looking up over at the man. Please? Those are reserved for me, so I can heal after what you did. The man spat. Still sultry, I see. Scar giggled as the man glared at him. Good to see you're enjoying yourself, Scar, Stray said, his tone shifting slightly to a darker form. I'll be expecting you soon. I've got big plans for you. Me? Scar asked, dread filling him as a shiver ran through his spine. You should go. I think the others are coming down the hall, Gerald said confidently. Be careful, Gerald, Stray warned, saying nothing, as the man reassured his leader that he would be careful. Gerald pocketed the communicator, picking up the enchanted blade once more, turning to his attention to Scar. I suggest you keep quiet if you know what's good for you, Gerald said firmly. Not on me. I wouldn't count on it, Scar said matter-of-factly. You could hear running feet as a couple pairs of footsteps ran down the hallway. The hermit yelped as Gerald swiped a blade toward him, feeling the heat of the metal slide past his face. Already giving you a couple scars. I have no issue making more. The man smiled darkly just as the 2 figures showed up in the doorway. Scar! Green cried, spotting him, his eyes growing wide as he saw the scene before him, standing beside Norman with impulse. Green took a step closer into the room as Gerald blocked it away. Don't come any closer. You can see him, can't you? Gerald said simply. There's obviously more to this meeting than what you're letting on, Impulse pointed out, his eyes glaring at the iron dagger in the man's hand. Got a new upgrade, I see. Yes, it just came in today, the man said happily, twirling the blade in the air and catching it flawlessly by the hilt. It's perfect for what I'm looking for. You didn't use it to... Green trailed off, looking at the man before looking over his scar. Go ahead. I did something similar, though. The man shrugged casually. Not that it matters. I have a bargain to make with you. Perhaps a trade. Scar bit his bottom lip. Why in a way to see what Gerald had to offer first before ruining his entire plan? He didn't see any of Mr. A's men blocking off the hallway behind his friends. Didn't see the escorts either, as an uneasy feeling filled him. Smarter than trust you with your word on something like that, Impulse said quickly. You've probably set up a trap. Sort of trap I could have easily captured you by here right now, Gerald said calmly. It's actually quite simple. I'm willing to let Scar go, but if only one of you would take its place. Gerald could see the slight hesitation on Green's expression as the man said it, slowly shaking his head. Sorry, Gerald, but I've known you long enough to know that isn't your plan, Green said, sounding more confident than Scar had expected. That's when he felt something brush against his head, bumping him as he stapled the yelp with surprise, looking up to see a hint of bubbles. Was it the protectors? Other hermits? He couldn't be sure as he looked away, just as quickly, catching Impulse's eye. Scar smirked. Not giving anything away. So, you're willing to let me hand your friend over to Mr. A without a problem? Gerald asked, braiding an eyebrow. I've chatted with him recently, and he'd love to see him. He won't, Impulse said defiantly, sitting his sword. Not with that attitude, Gerald's eyebrows raised in mock surprise. You could easily change that, though. You don't have to suffer more than he already has. They're not doing it, Gerald, Scar said simply. I told you when they went. The man scowled as he glared over at Scar. Did I ask you for your opinion? No, but you didn't ask for it when I told you the truth, Scar said defiantly. You're just as insecure as your leaders. You enjoy having power and control over us. And you don't care who you... He yelped as the man lunged toward him, the man being launched back by invisible bubbles as the iron dagger flew from his hand. Grab it! Impulse commanded as Green scrambled into the room, snatching the dagger from off the ground, stashing it away as Gerald knocked whoever it was on him off. The figure faded into view as Scar gasped. Why is it always you four ruining everything? Gerald scowled as he got to his feet, clutching his slung arm in pain. He glowered at Jem as she got to her feet. What, you want Pearl instead? I can call her for you, Jem said, tilting her head. The man scowled again. How many of you are there? More than enough, actually, Pearl's voice replied from the hallway. The Scar looked over, surprised to see her appear. Also, your supposed crew to keep our friends away didn't hold up too well. Protectors will be here soon. I guess that's my cue to go. Gerald shook his head, looking over at Scar. I'll see you soon. Either that or someone will be looking for you. Not on my watch, Jem said determinedly. Nor mine, Jem cut in. I think we can all agree that your threats are pretty lackluster at this point. All of you. We're not scared of you. Sure? Gerald raised an eyebrow as he went over to the furnace, pulling something out of his pocket. Scar tensed, watching as the man pulled a long stick, poking into the furnace for a moment. What are you doing? Pearl asked cautiously, stepping into the room as the other two followed warily. Just one last gift from me to your friend, Gerald said calmly, nodding over at Scar. Jem took a step, obscuring the hermit's view of the man. The hint of smoke wafted over him, his dark gray billows clinging to the ceiling of the cell. Gerald pulled out the stick, now ablaze. The flame was red hot as the man raised it, looking over at Jem with a smile. What do you think you're going to do? Don't, Jem warned. Scar couldn't see the expression on her face, but he didn't have to in order to know that her green eyes were fierce, determined. Gerald smirked as he flung the stick into the air. Catch! Scar's eyes followed the stick as it hurtled toward him. A scream caught in his throat. Jumping to catch it, grabbing it with one hand before swinging it back. The stick smacked Gerald right in the face, shouting in pain as he fell backwards, dropping the end of roll he had been attempting to get, reaching his free hand up for a moment to his face. Pearl Impulse ran toward the man, Gerald spotting them a moment, and picking up the pearl on the floor and launching it over their heads, appearing behind them as Green yelped to the rise. Gerald only laughed as he ran past the startled hermit, disappearing from sight. Shouldn't we follow him? Pearl asked, looking over at Impulse, shrugged. Let him go. Scar smoothly. Now freed from his former terror of a flying projectile. You'll have to tell Mr. A that he was right, and shouldn't have let you in here. Jem giggled, turning to look him over as she frowned. How are you feeling? Never better, Scar beamed, trying to ignore the increasing pain of scars and burns on his face and arm. Jem leaned over, unclasping the restraints, keeping him in the cot. What did he do to you? Jem asked, eyes widening. Pearl walking over to see what she was looking at, a frown growing on her face. I'll be fine, he admitted, trying to sit up before collapsing back down with a groan. You happen to have any regeneration potions I could borrow? Of course, Jem said quickly, pulling out her box. Scar heard footsteps approaching down the hall as he looked up, seeing Grian looking the whole way as well. The hermit smiling. Is everything all right in here? Caden asked, walking into the room curiously. Apart from Gerald getting away, yeah, we're good. Impulse replied, closing the furnace door, stopping the smoke from seeping out further. We didn't see him on our way out, Blake replied, appearing as well. Must have gone a different way. Of course he did, Green muttered, shaking his head, his eyes shifting over to where Scar was lying, his gaze unwavering as Jem pulled out a regen potion from her medical kit. She gently lifted Scar's head as he gratefully consumed the liquid, feeling a smooth substance trickling down his throat. It was refreshing. He's got more important matters in store rather than deal with us. He still has that mission, Scar pointed out, looking from Jem over to Green. The hermit's face was a shade paler, seeing him. And the fact that someone is probably coming to fetch me for midday. That's not happening. Impulse snapped firmly. Certainly, Katie agreed. Though we should probably head out before people come for you. Jem nodded, looking over to Scar. Think you can walk? I can barely sit up on my own. Scar smiled gently, feeling the pain disappear, giving him some relief. Much less walk. Jem chuckled gently, picking up the hermit. Let's go back to our base. Then we can figure out everything from there. Everything else from there. No one argued as Scar's eyelids began to grow heavy, exhaustion filling him, as the knowledge of imminent danger washed away. He knew he was in good hands. His friends had found him, and they'd managed to outsmart Gerald. Sure, it was very possible the man could come back to look for him, or send someone to find him. He wasn't about to worry about that, though. He knew what mattered, and right now, he wasn't Mr. A, Gerald, RJ, or any of the men. Unfortunately, that is the end. Yeah, that is unfortunately the end of this section. So, yeah. Thank you guys for watching, I suppose. It's been a little over an hour. Not pretty bad. Not bad at all. It's just, soul part is pretty short. Yeah. Next couple ones, I don't know how long will be. Cause, well, I didn't get as far to reading them as I did with you. So, yeah. And after this, we got a couple more stories left. So, yeah. We'll see how that goes. This summer is going to be fun. Thank you guys so much for watching. I do hope you enjoyed. I'll see you guys in the next one, whatever that might be. I don't know when that will be, but yeah, I could probably do another Minecraft stream at some point. But I probably want to rest my voice, just enjoy myself. Yeah, and probably prepare for whatever comes next, I guess. Yeah. This was all written pretty cool. This is just fun. Anyway, thank you guys so much for watching. Hope you enjoyed. I'll see you guys in the next one.